a Livingston Parish Council meeting
What's your mic now?
here at the Livingston Parish Council Chambers. Regular meeting today being Thursday, February the 9th, 2023. We've got a lot of beautiful smiling faces out there. The first item on the agenda would be, Miss Sandy, would you call the roll to make sure we have a quorum here today?
Mr. Delat.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Mack.
Here.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Here.
Mr. Wascom.
Here.
Mr. Talbert.
Here.
Ms. Sandifer. Here. Mr. McMorris.
I'm here.
Mr. Ard.
Here.
The second item on the agenda is the invocation, and Mr. Gerald McMorris has the privilege today of honors of leading us in a prayer.
Love to do it. All right, Barrett, bow your head, guys, please. God, we want to come before you today. Just thank you for the day we all had. Some of us are real tired. Some of us are stressful tonight. There's some big decisions on the parish tonight that we're going to be making. I thank you, Lord, for everything you do for each one of these guys to represent our parish. Thank you for everything you do for me and my family. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen, Gerald.
Mr. King, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Just a reminder, it might be kind of hard to hear tonight, so if you could just check your cell phones just to make sure that they on mute or so there's no major interruptions. Tonight we will have public input on any particular items that come up. If you have signed up and if you haven't, you're welcome to, but if you have and you're still holding your card, if you would just pass it to Miss Caroline right here, and then she can get them to us, and we'll make sure that you. And then if that item comes up, also raise your hand too.
We didn't get a card, but we were supposedly put on the list to see.
Okay. Just make sure you raise your hand.
You'll be able to speak
Yeah,
to
we'll
us
make
about
sure-
your property.
Yeah, we'll make sure. I'll call on you
Yeah,
when
if
that
it's
item
about you personally, yeah,
comes.
you're going to get to speak.
Tonight, we don't have any presentations that I know of. Next item is to adopt the minutes of the January 12th, 2023 regular meeting of the Livingston Parish Council. A resolution by Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse.
I second.
Seconded by Mr. King. Any discussion? None being, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Or the next ones,
B, you want to defer B?
please.
All right, item B is being deferred. Number 9, the parish president report, Livingston Parish Grants Department. Mr. Harold, are you going to speak on this tonight?
I will. I'll be Mr. Layton. I mean, you're blessed if somebody does love you.
Well,
Smarter too. At least
ladies and gentlemen,
Or the hemp boot checkout things.
I have more hair, so that's the important thing. No.
those are the,
Hey.
Hey,
okay.
We'll defend him on that one.
yeah. But Mr. Briggs has nothing to report tonight.
Okay, well, I know there's a
Yep.
resolution authorizing,
Yes, the Beaver Creek bank stabilization.
uh-huh.
Finally went out for bid, got everything organized, and would like the approval to let Mr. Layton go ahead and sign a contract so we can move forward.
Okay, is there, I think Fort DeBlato was the,
No, it's Omega
Omega?
Foundation
Okay.
Services. That's the contractor.
okay. Is there a motion to accept, authorize Parish President, Jeff Ard makes the motion? Second by Mr. Delat. Any discussion? None being, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank
And
you,
remember, I love you.
Mr. Harold.
You too, brother.
Thank you. Mark,
Are you doing public work?
can you do Public Works in case someone's here that has a question? This is approval to remove and replace water lines located in the parish at Pine
you got
Havens
Eddie back
Estate
here.
subdivision. I know it's District 7. Oh, Eddie. Oh, never mind, Mark. Eddie's got this one.
Oh,
By the way, I have more hair than he does.
He could,
Better looking. I challenge that.
okay. Mr. Idell.
So this is really on behalf of the town of Livingston. They are acquiring that old water system in Pine Haven or Pine Heaven, just south of Waste Management on Black Mud Road. They got a big water sector grant. They're acquiring that water system, and we're going to be removing and replacing old lines with new lines in that subdivision. And some of that line work is going to be, right now, a lot of it is in existing Parish Road right-of-way. Our goal is going to be to take as much of it out of the right-of-way and put it in a little 10-foot servitude. So when we finish, there'll be less water line in the Parish Road right-of-way. Most of it we're going to be able to move into a 10-foot utility servitude. And what we're asking is permission from you guys to work in your road right-of-way. Like I said, we will still have some water lines within the right-of-way, but a lot of it will be moved out.
Mr. McMorris?
So when I did this last time for the gas company in Frank Sullivan, I was asked by some of the council members to make sure we had agreement.
Speak
with
loud, you good.
With the town to do this for all liabilities that they may cause. Do we have that?
But ain't no town.
Whatever it is.
All in the
the town-
parish.
Speaking of intergovernmental agreement, we do have one with the town of Livingston, and I mean, most all towns we do that, I'm aware of.
I think it's like Mud Road is out of town limits, right?
It's up to Jeff.
Yeah, that's correct. It's not in the town limits. It's a Parish Road.
I mean, it should be with the parish.
Jeff, you want to make that motion, I'll second
You
it.
got the motion?
Well, that's in Tracy's district.
Oh, it's Tracy, I thought it was yours, I'm sorry. It was Tracy.
It's kind of between both, but I'll go ahead and make the motion.
I mean, I don't know why it's Tracy's district in this town. Well, I guess because the water lines.
Motion by
It's
Mr.
not inside the town limits, but it is a town water system.
I make a motion, second, or whatever I gotta do.
Motion.
House, seconded by Mr. Delat. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Eddy. Item 12, discussion and consideration regarding drainage of any and all developments on LA Highway 447 located in the vicinity of Buddy Ellis Road, Joe May Road, John L. Lane, Hammock Road, and Brown Road. Mr. McMorris had requested this be on the agenda. You want to take it from here?
Yeah, I'll take it from here. So I've invited Livingston Parish DPW, Fort Levada, Quality, Macklin, Dagger, Trevor, here to discuss
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
District 6 drainage. These areas are filled with creeks and streams that it's actually laterals that is not being addressed, that must be fixed after the recent rains we had of 6 to 7 inches. It's my understanding that once a development is accepted into the parish, it would be the Gravity Drainage District and/or the Department of Public Works, depending on the area and the drainage to be maintained in or outside of the boundaries of the subdivisions. I would like to write a resolution to the funded gravity drainage boards, District 1 and 5, to have a plan going forward with DPW so we can eliminate and who is responsible for cleaning the creeks all the way to a main channel. This will be a joint venture due to all water must travel through Gravity 8, which is non-funded district, to get the water out of these areas. If everybody knows what we had last week, it was bad. If you went over there in that area, it was terrible. We have built these subdivisions all over this district. There's no other place for this water to go. These guys can do their drainage studies all they want to, but whenever it comes down to where we got to get it all the way out to the creeks, where the old streams used to take the water out, it ain't been done since y'all went to a police jury to a council up here, right? So we need to help people. That's what we for. So we need to write a resolution, please. Somebody's got to pick it up from where gravity stops, and we go on to the main channels. DPW, whoever's responsible for it.
I second your motion on the resolution, and it is the responsibility of parish government to provide drainage, build roads. If you look at the charter, that's what they're there for. And I think by passing this resolution and asking administration to work more closely with the funded drainage districts to make sure we get the water out. It's taxpayers' money doing taxpayers' services, and that's what we need. And I proudly second that resolution.
We have a motion by Mr. McMorris, seconded by Mr. Delat. Any further discussion?
I'd like to see if
Mr. Hart?
we could add something to that, maybe, that maybe we could get the 2 drainage districts to possibly look into a grant together that would help clean this out all the way down. So maybe if they could put up the matching funds to get a grant that could be used from top to bottom. You know, so that way it helps the ones that's not funded. They could come up with some extra money.
All right. Are you okay with adding that to the,
I've got a
your
problem.
resolution, Mr. Gerald?
I got a problem, 2 separate issues.
Yeah.
So, once we get to public comment, I'd like for these guys to talk to us. Tell us what we do now. Right now, we come to here, we stop. Another 2 miles is trees that big around in every canal over there in that area. We taking care of the big subdivisions. Let's take care of the people that's been here all their lives, people that's moved in here thinking they had a high ground to live on, and they're flooding. Hey, myself and Randy, you guys, Lorian, we flood all the time. Hey, we was born and raised to flooding. Guys, let's help these people out. Let's get this water off from them, and it can be done.
Right.
I didn't mean, it might have sounded like I was against Jeff's motion. I feel like that's 2 separate motions, Jeff. I feel like that's something that can happen, but I think that changes the intent. I think this resolution has to go to administration, and those people are the ones that are going to have to get together with the drainage district and provide the plan they want. I'm okay
Do a
with your
separate
motion.
motion to the drainage districts.
Yes, I'm okay with
Ask
that.
them to look at it together.
Right,
You
I'm
okay?
okay with that, you know.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So once we come up with a plan, then I think we could come back and ask for a grant to do whatever we need to do. Mark Harrell, his guys can help us out. Quality, Faburn, all these engineering firms, they can tell us how to get the money. Let's work together and get it done, right? So, but I'd like to hear from the public on with the engineers, how we can get it done.
All right. So we had a motion and a second for your initial motion, resolution. Is anyone here to speak for or against? Come to the podium if you would. Give us your name, address.
Hi, my name is Jeannie Bosarge, 24049 Clyde Cockerham, Denham Springs, Louisiana. I believe all of you probably have received an email from me. I'm not here to tell you what to do or how to do, but I just want to tell you what's happened thus far. I live at the corner of Clyde Cockerham and Joe May Road. I know that we have drainage impact studies. I don't know the answer to the question I'm fixing to ask you. I know that the impact studies say it's going to be okay, it's going to be good, you're going to be better off. But I live there, and I can tell you that with each neighborhood, that is not the case. Your constituents aren't seeing that. Yesterday, in 30 minutes of rain, I stood in my yard and I watched where Arbor Walk and Hunter's Ridge have diverted their flow of water down through our property line, which then runs through a ditch that is on our property. It is a main drainage ditch, but the parish will not clean it because it's on private property. My husband and I, we clean our ditch. On the other side of our road, this house, they haven't lived there. Sediment has filled it. We've done what we could to clean it, but it's not my property. And all this neighborhood water is draining down our property. I sent pictures. I'm going to leave these for you. This goes back 2013, and I'm not talking about flooding. I'm talking about heavy rains. There's pictures on the 21st of 90 minutes of rain. Our road was completely covered in water. It used to not be that way. Sure, we got a heavy rain. It'd get a little high at that corner and it would drain. But now you've got major drainage, guys. And now they have another subdivision coming in with another 158 houses. And guess what? It's already higher than us. We built to base flood elevation level when we built 30 years ago, 40 years ago. It's higher now. And I'm telling you, when they build, it comes down to us. We're doing our part, but not everybody is. And, you know, I'm fixing to retire. My home is paid for. I've raised my kids. I've raised my grandkids. I am all for neighborhoods and people moving in, but not at my expense. I'm not ready to move. And, I mean, you know, God forbid I flood again. 2016 almost broke me. I know that was an exception. But the closer the water gets to my home, I got to tell you.
You're nervous.
I get real nervous. And I'm going to leave these pictures. I've got plenty more. These show through the years.
Would you leave them with Miss Caroline right here? And then we'll get them passed around here.
We know.
My husband couldn't be here tonight, but in the email, I believe y'all have both of our email addresses and our phone numbers. I beg of you, when it is a heavy rain, call me. I will make coffee, I will have tea. Come and see what I'm saying. You'll see it.
Thank you.
Mr. McMorris.
I've got someone else to speak for it as well.
Chad DiGirolamo, 9796 Vincent Trace. Another thing is, and I know what y'all are talking about is great, but I work for the state, and I know a lot of people at the state trying to get the state to do their job. I live on 4H, and used to, the water never got in my yard. And now, it's just, I mean, it's steady getting closer and closer to my house. I don't know if there's a way y'all can get with somebody with the state on working with the state to do their part too, to get the ditches, you know, the state highway ditches clean, because that help, I mean, that would help out tremendously too.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
just need to figure that out, work with them somehow, and get that done too.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else on this particular item? Yes, sir. Give us your name and address, please.
I'm Bon Stevens, 23400 Highway 1032 in Denham Springs. I formerly am a member of Gravity Drainage District Drainage Board. And what you're talking, I want to make sure that it's very clear, because we used to struggle with this on Gravity District number 1 drainage issues. We would do everything, for example, up we needed to on Dunn Road, but it would hit Drainage District 5, and we were totally dependent upon them to continue what we were doing downstream from us. So as I'm understanding this, and I don't live anywhere near this, but I understand the problem from there, you're going from 1-5 into no drainage district. So it strikes me that it is the parish who has to pick up that missing piece in the middle. But I can tell you absolutely from my time on the drainage board, if you don't have that other piece picked up, it doesn't matter what we do upstream. It's going to block and it's going to jam up there. So I don't know the geography specifically of where the link is and where it's got to get to, probably either Middle Coyell or West Coyell, I'm thinking.
Coyell Creek.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in any case, you do have to pick up that piece somehow that is outside the 2 drainage district. I will say also, we were very effective in working with District 5 to come up with joint plans, but even then, we sent it out of both of our districts into open parish drainage system. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
so
Bond.
much.
You good with that, Mr. McMorris?
Yeah. I want to make a statement. Are you through?
Yeah, well, real quick, is anyone else regarding this? Oh, got one. Oh, I'm Mr. Harris. I ain't seen you in a while. Come on up, buddy.
You've been hiding. Been hunting season.
Glenn Harris, 8255 Harris Road, Denham Springs. And once again, the rain we had 3 days ago, Saturday, whatever day it was, flooded my place again. Erin came and looked. I just fixed my driveway, and she said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "I got this." I said, "But it's been happening way, way more frequently. It used to happen once a year. I live on Allen Bay. Everything comes to Allen Bay. Comes across my place, crosses 4H Club Road, goes to the river. It used to do it. It would take a 5, 6, 7 inch rain for it to happen. The other day we got pretty good. We got 4. I wasn't here. I was in Mississippi.
Yeah, it was a good bit.
But it blew my driveway out. Couldn't get in or out. I finally fixed my driveway. But it's happening way more often. Year before last, it probably happened 10 times.
Yeah.
It's getting really bad. It's getting a lot worse. I've been there 30 years. I've been there my whole life, but I lived on this place for 30 years. But just think about the subdivision behind me, Sweetwater, okay? You have retention ponds, but you are only capturing the water that falls in the development. Now, when we flooded, all the water come across there and across me and across everybody. But when you build that up, if you have a slight angle between 4H Club Road angling back toward Allen Bay, instead of splitting around it, it may all go to Allen Bay. You got to worry about what you're doing upstream, how it's affecting the water coming down, not just the water falling in the development. You can hold it. Well, they said it could, but obviously they're not, because it's getting me 10 times worse. But it's what's going to happen to the flow coming from upstream when it has to go around this development. You understand what
Sure,
I'm saying?
sure.
Instead of through it, now it's going around it. Now it's all going to Allenby. And why the water has to go to Allenby when the river's this direction? All you got to do is cross 4-H Club Road and go in by the city dump right there. The city owns 50 acres right there. The river's this way. Why are you coming my way? Just like on 4-H Club Road, okay? Green leaves and the other one down there. The water crosses 4-H Club Road and heads the opposite of the river. The river's over here, not over here. So it makes no sense to me. No sense to me whatsoever, you know. You're going away from the river. And you say the development's saying, well, it's got to go in the river. Well, yeah, it's going to eventually, if it can make it to Graves Creek, it will eventually go into the river down there by Port Vincent. But you're taking the water away from the river.
Yeah.
I mean, it drops off 4-H Club Road at the dump, goes straight down. That's nothing but a floodway. Nothing but a floodway.
Where it needs to go.
And you're turning it the other direction and putting it in Allenby, which is putting it on me and everybody else downstream. So you got to think about what it affects upstream, not just in the development.
Mr. Harris?
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
No? Did you have?
No, I don't want to ask Mr. Harris.
Oh, okay, I thought you had something. Clint, thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
Look, I understand. It seemed like those questions, I mean, those are really great questions.
I'd like to answer them.
Go ahead.
I'd like to answer those questions.
Before it's over, I want to say a few words.
Got it.
The reason I like to answer those questions is Livingston Parish is the only coastal parish without a parish-wide drainage plan, and may be the only parish in the state of Louisiana without a plan. We got bottlenecks all over. People are paying taxes to get the water off of them. That's a great thing. But if you don't have a parish-wide plan, we don't know where the next bottleneck is. Everyone knows about the dredging that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, and that's going to help some, okay? But this council formed a committee of citizens to help establish a parish-wide drainage plan, and had to disband it after probably a year, maybe a year and a half, because of lack of support. And it's our job as parish government council employees to make sure we have that plan. And we don't have any engineers that work for the council, so we have to do what Mr. McMorris just proposed, and that's to pass a resolution asking parish administration to get with their engineers and get with the drainage districts and form that district back together, a parish-wide drainage plan district. And without that, we can always continue to push water from one area to the next area. The water can't leave Livingston Parish until it goes through the North Pass. That's between Lake Maurepas and Lake Pontchartrain. We can do anything we want in Coyote Creek or any other creek or anything it has to do. When the water is already inundated in your area, it's going to stay in the area that you're trying to improve. And when the water backs up in Port Vincent, it causes problem in Walker. When it causes problem in Walker, it's going to cause problems above Denham or Watson. Eventually, it causes problems for everybody in the parish. Drainage is a parish-wide problem, and it should be the #1 problem. Yet we're not putting that as #1 problem when we get here to the council. We have a lot of subdivision ordinances that take up our time, but we never say, what about drainage? What about the people? And we know it's going to rain sometimes 3 days in advance. We're going to get a 4-inch rain. Look at our neighboring parishes and see where the equipment's at in advance of the rain. It's in those lateral ditches in advance of the rain. The parish dug those ditches. They had the responsibility to clear those ditches, and we as a council have to make sure that gets done. And I have failed you in that position. I have failed you tremendously. I am going to continue working in that direction, and I promise you, you're going to hear a lot of noise. Thank you.
I know we have a couple more council members. I think, Mr. Mack, you want to say something real quick?
Yeah, just real quick. You know, I've been a councilman almost 8 years, and it seems like over the last 8 years, drainage in Livingston Parish outside the funded gravity drainage districts has slowly gotten worse and worse and worse. And we're to the point now where we can get a 3-inch rain and, people's yards hold water. Houses are the only thing that ain't underwater. The whole yards and the streets and everything holds water for days and days. I just want to say I'm very, very thankful for the administration for working hard to get the grants approved to clean out the debris and all the branches and creeks and tributaries. That helped tremendously. But I do agree that we need a master gravity drainage plan for Livingston Parish. Over the last 8 years, we've really implemented outside the funded gravity drainage districts, no drainage improvement projects. Really, we haven't really done that, and I think that, you hear the testimony here tonight. I think all of us have gotten several calls over the last couple of weeks with all the heavy rains we've had. Over the next year or two, as elected officials, we need to work together with the people to fund Gravity Drainage District 8. I do think that's the answer. I think that development, one benefit of a funded gravity drainage district is you have a review engineer that works for that gravity drainage district. And when you have these developments, that review engineer reviews those developments and makes sure that it fits into the overall master gravity drainage plan. And if it doesn't, well, they have to go back to the drawing board and make changes so that it does fit in, and it would encompass upstream, the stormwater runoff upstream. It would encompass the stormwater runoff downstream, and just make sure that everything jives. I think it's important for everybody to know and everybody to listen that in 80% of Livingston Parish, where there's an unfunded gravity drainage district, we don't have a separate gravity drainage review engineer that reviews these projects to make sure that the drainage plan that within that development and for that development fits into the overall plan. What I can tell you is that, and we're experiencing it, you've experienced it, it's a disaster in 80% of Livingston Parish. The drainage systems in 80% of Livingston Parish is actually a disaster. What's going to happen, and we're trying to do the best we can with modifying ordinances and zoning Livingston Parish to try to compensate some of this, but what's going to happen if we don't fund a gravity drainage district in all of Livingston Parish, it's going to get so much worse than it is today. It's going to be a worse disaster than it is today. So I really wanted to say all of that to ask everyone here, yes, I agree, the administration needs to do way better job of maintaining and cleaning out laterals and tributaries, digging them out so that the water flows right through rural Livingston Parish and unfunded gravity drainage district. 100% agree with that, and I think it's a wonderful idea to get the funded gravity drainage districts, Jeff, to put together a plan so that those tax funds can go for drainage improvement outside that gravity drainage district. So it benefits the taxpayers within that gravity drainage district. I think that's a wonderful thing. But I just want to say, over the next couple of years, I want you to think long and hard about trying to help elected officials fund a gravity drainage district, that encompasses all of Livingston Parish, so that we can, develop a gravity drainage plan and actually put the funds and resources to implementing the drainage improvement projects that plan dictates, that plan determines is necessary so that our drainage systems do work well. I want you to think about that over the next couple of years, about helping us establish a funded gravity drainage district where we pay contractors to dig out laterals by the lineal foot so that we don't waste taxpayer dollars, and so that we actually can physically improve the drainage in Livingston Parish, because let's all face it, we're probably going to talk a little bit more about it tonight, but development's coming in Livingston Parish without a funded gravity drainage district. It's not going to be a good situation 5-10 years from now. So I just kind of wanted to say a little bit about that.
Thank you, Mr. Back. One more, if we would. I think Mr. Girlinghouse had something he wants to say.
Clearly, we need a comprehensive plan, and I think in what this council has done in the last 2 years has attacked keeping from making the problem from getting worse, so to speak, from not allowing things to continue. We do need to be more proactive, but I think as far as making it better, but I don't think we were finished with keeping it from making it worse. And I'm going to go ahead and say it because nobody, I think a lot of people don't have the stomach for it. But at some point, we need to come to the realization that we need to put a fill limit in. We need to put a fill limit in. And nobody, I know there's a lot of people don't want to hear that. But we had an engineer from FEMA come here and said, every shovel load matters. Every shovel load matters. So we need to limit the amount of fill that comes into this parish. Now, there's this, and it was early on in our last term. It got fierce opposition.
I can give you a good narrative about two people that just sat up here and talked about how we need.
I'm going to need to rebuttal that. I'm going to need to rebuttal that.
Hey,
Well, okay, look, you know what?
Wait a second.
No, hold on. Shut up.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Tracy, make this really quick, if you would.
I mean, okay. I'm just saying.
I think your point's been made, yes?
It has, but until we have the stomach, this council has the stomach to address that, and I do too. I have the stomach to do it. Whether we need to tell somebody, is it 2 foot? Is it 1 foot? Is it 0 foot? Well, I mean, why are you shutting me up, man? I mean, you let Shane talk for 15 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, you're repeating yourself, and I understand, but you're just repeating yourself.
Let me say this. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a fill limit. There's no way around that. And which means we're going to have to tell people who have their property, you can only haul in this much dirt. And whatever that is, that's what we need to come to. We need to come to the realization that that is the world we live in. I don't like it, but we're going to have to do it. So if we can get some stomach to people up here to vote that in, I'm in it. Mr. Scooter says he's in it. We'll do it. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Talbot, do you have something to say?
Oh, absolutely.
Without,
Oh, yeah, I absolutely go. I absolutely got to say. Everybody knows I got something to say. So anyway, so we just listened to some campaign speeches, some great campaign speeches, but let's go back and look at history. We had a special meeting here one morning when we had a fill ordinance in place. We had engineers come show us with an aquarium full of water. We kept stacking stuff in it and it overflowed. I mean, we had testimony from Gravity One about people when the river hit a certain level in '83, people's house didn't flood. And the same people in 2016, their house flooded because we continued to stack dirt within the flood zone. But Mr. Mack called the special meeting for the sole purpose of killing that ordinance, and Mr. Delat sat right there on the front row, one of the loudest proponents against dirt fill.
Let's go.
So as we wait a second, I want to set the record straight. As we sit here,
your point has been made.
No, I'm not through. As we sit here and talk about what needs to be done, understand this council tried to do it, and some of the two individuals sitting up here right now who are talking about what needs to be done
You've made your
were
point.
the
That's
main
enough.
people.
Sean, I got a quick rebuttal.
Look, I'm going to call a recess and get a sheriff in here to shut some of this down. This is ridiculous.
Well, I'm not going to put up the lines of being...
Okay, hold on. Dadgummit, I'm the chairman, and we're going to run this order. This is ridiculous. We got a lot to do. I'm sorry, sir. You've already spoken, and I
got a quick rebuttal.
Look, I'm shutting this item down. This is ridiculous.
John, I got a quick rebuttal.
No.
That's total lie.
We're going to put the vote. We have a motion.
I call for the vote.
Call for the vote.
On my motion.
Y'all in favor of Mr. McMorris's motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, update from the library director, Giovanni. Mr. Talbot put this on the agenda.
Mr. Giovanni, would you come on up to the podium, please?
Y'all started this, man.
Hey, the whole thing...
Hey, Randy, keep order. Mr. Giovanni, I'm sorry that you had to come
It's all right.
After a hot topic like this, but Mr. Talbot asked us to put this on the agenda.
So I talked to Mr. Giovanni today. We had a phone conversation, talked about it. I start off with, I'd like to thank you for being here to answer for a few questions and provide an update. Councilwoman Sanford brought this issue to the forefront many months ago and has been passionate advocate on behalf of our children. With her leadership and coming and visiting with this council before she was appointed, we passed a resolution asking your team to step up protections for our children from explicit content. Since then, there have been many more questions asked across the state and nation. Attorney General Landry also conducted his own investigation and published a report earlier this week That led me to add the item to our agenda. We must ensure we're protecting our children. So I've just got a series of questions. I want to get some stuff on the record. I think there's some protections out there people aren't aware of, and that's what this is about. It's just about informing the public about what's been going on, what's happening at the library.
Yes, sir.
I want to start off by establishing an understanding that this is not about banning books. I'm not in favor of banning books. I don't think the library is in favor about banning books or censoring content. Don't you agree?
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's fair to assess that we're not trying to ban books. We're looking at protecting our children. So the question, let's just get some groundwork. Do you believe that minors should have parental consent before accessing explicit material?
Let me start with that. So we've always had this system in place within the library that every parent has responsibility and authority to set certain access controls for their child's account. It's always been in place. It was exercised by some parents, but maybe not by many. So to address these concerns brought up by the council and members of our community, and for you to know, I've raised 2 of my children in this parish. I'm raising a grandchild in this parish. So your concerns are my concerns as well. So, like I said, we've always had something in place that allowed parents to set controls to what kind of materials their children can access. Now, we've taken it a bit further. We've began working on access controls since November of last year. We've announced it in a board meeting, and then in January, I updated the board stating that we will put something in place that will allow parents to have greater control of what materials their children can check out. It somewhat goes in line with what was proposed by the Attorney General. So what's going to happen, or what has already happened, is that all of 27,000 accounts for teenagers and children have been blocked from checking out materials from the library until their parents or legal guardians make a decision as to what kind of access their children can have in our library system. So if you have a teenager in your household and you don't want them to check out an adult material, you can put a restriction on their account. If you have a child and you don't want them to see teen books or adult books, you can put that restriction on their account. Since that was introduced last week, we've had 234 individuals or parents or legal guardians make the decision for their children. So they've restricted their access to collection in some way, shape, or form. There were 60 that decided not to apply any kind of restrictions.
So Giovanni, y'all basically went in and restricted all teen from 18 and below, y'all restricted all access?
Age 0 through 17 don't have access.
Age 0 through 17 restricted all access,
Yes.
and then 230-something parents have come and changed what the access is, and then 60 just eliminate the access?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, it's going to be a long process, like I said.
Well, I mean, I
we
understand,
have-
so to get all the parents, but, so basically, those parents that weren't informed of the ability to restrict access, you've taken care of that for them, and now they have the ability to come modify that access,
Yes,
but
sir.
you
Can we ask
Just,
how do you do that? How did you restrict that access?
So it's some adjustments that we have to do on the technology side of things, because the library uses the software that controls checkouts. And so basically, we blocked all the accounts, registered accounts, from being able to check out.
Can I ask one more question real quick? So if the sexually explicit material, the books, were on the shelf, would the child have access to go view that without checking the book out?
Not to my knowledge.
We're gonna get.
Thanks.
Okay, so as a parent currently, or prior to y'all's change, could I go access whatever my child checked out? Is it library policy that allows me to come in and say, I want to know what my child checked out? Would y'all
So
reveal
you,
that
as a
information?
parent, you always have had control over your child's history. You can always log in and basically check what's being done.
Is that Livingston Parish policy? I know it's state law. Is it written in y'all's policy, or is it?
I can't speak on behalf of all libraries across Louisiana, but it's been our policy since I've been here.
Okay. have you read the report produced by the AG, Attorney General Landry, earlier this week, titled Protecting Innocence? Have you read that book? Have you read that report?
I've seen it.
Okay. So prior to, I guess basically now y'all have restricted access. So if I was a 16-year-old and I wanted to check out the V Word, True Stories About First-Time Sex, which is available in the Denham Springs branch, right now I couldn't check it out because y'all have implemented those restrictions?
Yes, sir, it's restricted.
Okay,
Now-
so is that book as it sits, and it was one of the ones identified in Attorney General Landry's list that is on y'all's, that is in Denham Springs. So my question is that an adult book? Is it a teenage book? What the front of the book, what are the recommendations age-wise?
Okay, so I can't speak to that specific title. I'm not even sure if it's in our collection.
It's available at the Denham Springs branch.
Okay, so we have about 160,000 titles in our children's collection. So about 150 in the adult collection and 150 or 60 in the children's collection. So without really checking to make sure that it's there, I'd have to verify. But I also would like to mention that I've been with the library since 2008, and since 2010, I've been the director of the Livingston Parish Library. Since then, we've only had 5 requests for reconsideration come through. That policy in itself gives our citizens authority or right to request the library reconsider where the material is located within the library system.
So you've only had 5 requests the whole time? We had 2 this year, right?
2 last year.
2 last year?
2.
And one of those y'all moved, and one of those y'all didn't move?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. So, but I guess my question is, and I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but, and Shane brought it up, is that access that y'all restricted based on adult material? So if a book is rated for, 14 to 17, that restriction that y'all set forth does not apply to that book.
I'm not sure if I'm understanding the question.
So
but
let's face it. I mean, there are books in the library, in my opinion. I mean, it's just, I'm talking about from my personal opinion, that are within sections that are young adult, but are fairly explicit for young adult. Those books would not be affected by the automatic 0 to 17 block if they're in the young adult section.
if your child, let's say a grandchild who is of age, the way we classify teenagers is age 12 through 17. And so you as a parent also have always had control over what they can see or check out from that section as well. So we always encourage parents to participate in their children's selection of materials and what they check out. It is extremely difficult for us to make decisions on behalf of the parents because we don't want to infringe on somebody's right to allow their children to access what they deem is appropriate. So we always walk this very fine line as to, and let parents make those decisions for their children.
I got another. So let's talk about, y'all members of the American Library Association, correct?
Not as a library system.
The system's not a member?
No, we're not.
Okay, so are you aware what the Rainbow Reading List is?
I'm sorry?
The Rainbow Reading List endorsed by the
I'm not
American?
familiar with it.
Okay, so we're going to pass on that. The library says that children under 12 must be accompanied by parents to be in the library. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and children 13 to 17 can access library computers without a parent present?
I believe our policy currently allows children age 14 or 13 through 17 to be in the library unaccompanied.
Okay.
Personally, I wouldn't do that, but that's my personal opinion.
I understand. Library policy says that parents are responsible for ensuring children do not access harmful content on the internet. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
So y'all's policy is that it's the parent's responsibility to what their children look for on those computers. So it's not y'all's responsibility to monitor what's on those computers. The policy of the library is that parents are responsible. Is that?
Well, what I would like to make a correction, I guess, or clarification, is that our public computers
are protected by what we call content filtering system. And those computers basically filter out pornographic material from being accessed. So it is a requirement by the federal government for us to be able to apply for federal grants. So all of our computers and internet access have been filtered, have always been filtered since any public library out there received computers and the internet.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is that even though you say it's parent responsibility, y'all filter.
It is filtered, yes,
Y'all
sir.
filter all content. Okay, so let's move on, let's talk about Canopy. Canopy is a video streaming service offered by the library, correct?
That's correct.
Is that a platform that provides thoughtful and thought-provoking films to all ages? I mean, that's from y'all's website. That's what it's defined as. Can a minor or child's library card access the adult Canopy?
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
Not anymore.
Okay. I'm
So
aware
if-
that,
And I have to clarify that as well. If as a parent, you decide to restrict your child from accessing electronic resources from the library, we will automatically block their access to Canopy or other resources. So it is again,
so if a parent requests, so is Canopy currently blocked under y'all's 0 to 17 block that y'all put forth?
yes, yes.
So basically, a child 0 to 17 cannot access Canopy anymore unless the parent authorizes.
If there's a restriction to their account, they cannot access it.
But on that block, y'all just said, you just told us as a council that y'all blocked all adult access 0 to 17. Is Canopy included in that blockage?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, okay. So parents can set the parental controls, but if the parent chooses not to, then a kid who is over the age of 12 or whatever, or 14, can come into the library and access Canopy on y'all's computer.
Correct.
Okay. So
Eric, can I ask a question with that clarification?
I'm just want to follow up on, I want to follow up on one thing.
I'd be the same one.
So unless the parents act, children can access, is that correct?
Yes, and there's been some concern about particular titles in Canopy, and those have been removed.
Okay, so look, I wasn't sure I was going to address this tonight, but I'm going to address it tonight since that we've talked about blockage. This is a report from Lucas Investigations. On Tuesday, January 21st, 2023, Lucas Investigations visited the Livingston Parish Library in Denham Springs Walker Branch, located at 8101 US Highway 190 in Denham Springs. They purchased a guest pass in order to access the computer system at the library. After logging into the computer, they tested a few well-known pornography websites, which are listed below. Those sites were blocked on the library computer network system. After seeing these sites were blocked, they tested other websites that are known to contain sexual or nude explicit images and videos and were successful in finding and viewing pornographic images and videos. And the websites that I was successful in viewing are listed below. So there's a body cam video of them coming into the library, getting the card, going to the computer, and accessing this information. So they were able to backdoor pornographic material through Reddit, Twitter, DuckDuckGo, and TikTok on the Livingston, at the Denham Springs Walker Branch of Livingston Parish Library on a Livingston Parish computer. So we need to do a better job. We need to figure out what's going on, and we need to do a better job as a library board and as a library in general, preventing children or anybody else from accessing pornographic material in our library. Libraries should be a place that you take your kid and that you feel safe that whatever they look for is not taking their innocence from them. I remember growing up in a little old small town in Hearn, Texas. We used to ride our bikes to the library, and we'd hang out for hours. But guess what? We didn't have those books back in the day. You know what I'm talking about? So my concern is that I understand the board's taking tremendous steps moving forward to try to solve and address some of these problems. My concern is that you have books within your library, and I've looked at some of them. Ms. Sanford brought them to this council and shown them to us. And you can open the book and it's got an age-specific recommendation for them. And those books are not adult books. Those books are for age, 14 to 17. There's some that are, younger than that. Hell, this this rainbow rating list has got a book for a 0 to 3-year-old called Bye Bye Binary. So, you know, and the shame of it is, there are a bunch of books on that rainbow reading list 2023 that you have the titles in your library. So look, this council asked y'all to do it, and y'all made some steps in the right direction. However, children can still go to your library and access pornographic materials. We've got to figure that out. That board's got to figure that out. That board's got to stop that. The other thing that's got to happen is that there needs to be a reckoning, and I understand that there are a lot of that we're asking parents to go in and tell us if a book's offensive. Look, there's a quote from a long time ago, back in the 50s, when a Supreme Court justice said he couldn't define pornography, but he knew it when he saw it. And I guarantee you that you could have your librarians go look through that section, and they might not be able to define pornography, but when they looked at some of the stuff Ms. Sandifer brought for us, they ain't sure figure out that book probably needs to be behind the counter before a kid gets it. Because basically what we're saying is that if a book's classified as adult, the kid can't check it out. But if it's a book with explicit material and it's grouped by the American Library Association as a 12 to 17-year-old, it's sitting on the shelf and anybody can walk up there and get it. That's the issue that this council had when they passed that resolution, and that's what needs to be addressed at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, look, I'm gonna ask that this council, I mean, if there's anybody got any more questions, feel free.
I do.
But we need to, look, I'm not denying that the library has taken some steps to solve some issues. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I'm gonna ask that the library board endorse. There's 2 bills at the legislature that the Attorney General's talked about. One of them is a tiered card system, you know, that allows access based on age. And I think there's some parental consent within that deal that needs to move forward. And y'all have some portion of that in place. There's another deal that gives parish government more authority with respect to what's happening in local libraries.
Would you like to put that in a motion for a resolution or something, Gary, or?
Yeah, I think that this council needs to ask the library board to make to support those 2 bills at the legislature, and that they would take it upon themselves to go through those young adult sections, go through those kid sections, look at those books, and evaluate those books based on, you know, community standards that exist within our community. And I can't define what pornography is, but I can tell you, you know, I mean,
let's see if we can.
I'd like to second that.
Mr. Shane Mack?
I agree with Gary. I would like to see that the folks hired by the library director, take more responsibility to remove that material and to restrict that material.
All right, well, we have a motion and a second, and Mr. Glad, you had something to comment?
Just a question. I agree with what Gary is saying, but I wasn't clear on the last part, Gary, about the guy that went in there with the body cam. He was able to get to the pornography. But he was able to get to the pornography.
He was able to go in,
yes.
he was able to go in, yes. He went in with a body camera and accessed pornographic material on library computers.
That's what I want to make sure that you said. So, one more thing. But he was out, right? And a child would have had the same, could have
had the same ability.
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. A child had the same ability.
What was blocked through the library's computers.
Right.
All right.
But the child had the same.
Would have had the same access.
Mr. Talbot, would you be willing to share that report with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I will
Motion by
definitely
Mr.
share the
Talbot,
video.
second by Mr. Mack. Comment, Ms. Sandifer. Push it down.
The video app, Canopy, does that restrict with the cards in place? Will that restrict, because I'm pulling it up on my phone right now with a 9-year-old's card and it's coming up?
If you restrict the 9-year-old's account not to be able to access electronic resources, it will be blocked.
Yes.
The way that it's restricted is, all it asks is if I'm 18, and once I click I'm 18.
There's no restriction on that child's account yet. You have to introduce restrictions that were recently rolled out. You should be able then to prevent them from accessing that resource.
Well, Aaron, that was one of the questions we went over. Canopy's not under that block that they put forth on everybody 0 to 17, Canopy was not part of that block.
I understand, but what I'm saying is if a child logs in with their library card, not all parents know to put a restriction on it, so it's just wide open.
Right, and the current federal law as it's set forth on streaming is just it's a simple answer to the question, yes or no. That's the current standard that got changed on, used to you just logged in, it came up. Now the only thing that's different is it comes up and says yes or no.
I also want to mention the American Library Association is mentioned all over our Livingston Parish Library website, and we do receive $50,000 a year from them. Can you help me understand that?
Do not receive any funding from the American Library Association.
If I recall, that was in last year's budget. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there is an app. There is a Louisiana ID app, a digital driver's license app. And so I would like that the library board reach out to the people that run that app, because it allows you, if you should not be able to answer that question without a digital license. And it will force people to get a digital license, which might cost them a couple dollars, but there's got to be a way. I can scan at my convenience store, I can scan the barcode or the whatever, the little Q code.
Do you want to add that to your motion?
Yeah, I would like to add that. If Shane's good with that the library research digital driver's license and or Q code or barcode on driver's license within your verification system so that you can prove that you're over 18 at that point in time.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Mine's gonna be quick.
Okay.
So when these cards are given to the kids, they're basically unrestricted unless the parent puts restrictions on them.
Not anymore. With the recent policy change, they are restricted. They are blocked.
So I'm talking about the e-card.
I'm going to have to go back and verify and work with my team and make sure to what the degree that block is restricting them.
My question would be why can't we give it to them restricted and the parents have to lift the restriction?
Right.
Like that, Jeff, I like that.
All right, so we had
I like that.
a motion. Hey, Jeff's
had a great idea. Let's incorporate that in the motion.
Put that on the motion as well. All right.
Put it in there.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nobody in the audience opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Giovanni, I want to thank you so much for coming and educating us on the changes that y'all have made. Hopefully now with the Denham Springs News here and some other people that there will be more information put forth, that parents will know that they have some rights and some abilities at the library to restrict access, and we can resolve some of these issues. And Livingston Parish can be a leader, with our library. We've got a great library system. Let's just solve some of these problems that we feel are don't reflect our community standard, and let's resolve those issues.
Thank you. Let's move on. Mr. Giovanni, thank you so much. Item 14, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver to subdivide in a named subdivision Spiller's Ranch for the heirs of Earl Parent Senior, located at 24853 Spiller's Ranch Road, Denham Springs, Louisiana, Council District 5. Ms. Sandiford, do you want to talk about this one?
Sure, I can explain it. It's the subdivision was established in 1973. It's been subdivided before. This is not the smallest parcel. It's subdivided into. Mr. Parent needs a waiver to subdivide because it's in a named subdivision. Does anybody have any questions?
I second your motion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Delat. By Ms. Sandiford, second by Mr. Delat. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, I'm pulling that item from the agenda. We've taken care of that. Item 16 is a public hearing. Ms. Sandy, would you want to read this ordinance by title before we open the public hearing and call for the adoption? Item 16, this is Council District 5 zoning map.
This is proposed ordinance 2305. This is an ordinance to certify the official zoning map of the unincorporated areas of Council District 5 in the parish of Livingston, entitled Livingston Parish Zoning Map, Council District Number 5, referred to in Chapter 117 of the Livingston Parish Code of Ordinances.
I hereby declare a public hearing open. Is anyone here to speak for or against? Yes, sir.
Zone for District 5, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Chad DeGirolamo, 9796 Vincent Trace. First of all, earlier when y'all were talking about trying to get the drainage district to do something.
We're talking about zoning now, okay?
No, this part of it. When y'all vote on this, y'all all know, y'all all sit there and say, y'all understand the effects of these developments, just keep putting more water on people. I know, I grew up in District 5 my whole life, and I know, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people, and a lot of them are scared to just come up because they don't want the public to see them up here, but they all are in agreement with this zoning. We need to slow these big developments, put bigger acre lots. You don't have as many people. The traffic, December 17th, I pulled up on a wreck on 4H. A little boy is fixing to die. His car was burning. I pulled him out of his vehicle. The paramedics and sheriffs got there before the fire department ever got there. With all the extra traffic for all these big developments, he would have been dead.
So you're in favor of this zoning? Okay.
Hands down.
All right.
And I hope each and every one of y'all are. Until we get the drainage and the roads,
zoning is good.
Infrastructure done, we want this zoning.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Murphy?
Got skipped, we on 16.
15.
We skipped 15?
No, we're on item 16 still.
Yeah. He deferred 15.
No, I pulled it. Yeah, I pulled it.
Yeah. Or pulled it, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Derek Murphy, and I'm speaking up here tonight as a resident of District 6, a landowner in District 5, a business owner with offices in District 4 and 6, employing nearly 100 people. I am also speaking up here as a representative of several property owners and developers who have properties in District 5. These properties have been previously approved by this body. Now the zoning map makes these same properties non-conforming with their previous approvals. Since even before 2016, I've been at this podium advocating for stronger development codes. Many of these changes were met with resistance until last year when several of these residential developments started working through the planning process. Over the past year, the development codes have been greatly strengthened. These projects are subject to the codes and are required to follow these higher standards. The zoning before you tonight are not a reflection of what's existing or approved, but it is set to be used as a bargaining chip, requiring things that are not part of the law and the development code. In this case, the zoning process has been weaponized to halt already approved projects underway in District 5. The justification is that these projects are grandfathered in and there is no issue. However, the code that y'all have recently adopted specifically states that any changes whatsoever to these preliminary plats have to come back and start the process again. These are preliminary plats that have been approved. They're in various stages all the way through construction, all the way from the preliminary plat, drainage impact studies, traffic impact studies, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 approvals have already been met, and they're going forward. Tonight, I formally request that parcel number 0204792, which is part of the Deer Run project, be changed to R3 along with multi-use tracks as shown on the preliminary plat. Parcel 0081018B is part of Jubin Gardens that is under construction, be changed to R3. The retreat at Jubin 0099929 be changed from to C1 and R3 as it was approved in the previous site plans and approved plats. Parcel 0211854, 0207415, 0516864 be changed to R3, which is the preliminary plat of Sweetwater. And parcel 0217836, 0204172, 0204172A, which is has approved preliminary plat for Belmont. I ask tonight that those be changed to the respective zonings, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Is there anyone else here to speak? Mr. Harris? So you just came for 2 items tonight, I guess, huh? Clint, help us out. Keep it 3 minutes if you want.
Yes, I will. When all of this went on in District 5, when all of this started happening, I've never been more political than I am in my life because it's really getting scary in this world. Anyway, when all of this was happening in District 5, we had no representation. We had no representation. Bubba wasn't here half the time. When he was here, he wasn't here. You understand what I'm saying? So when all this was approved, we had no representation hardly at all. Now, I've been right where I'm at right now for 58 years. My family's been there since the 1800s. And everybody I talk to, everybody my councilwoman has talked to wants this district map. And we are asking because nobody wants this in my district that I know of. And
You mean nobody doesn't want it? is what you're saying.
does not, they do want this zoning map to be approved.
Okay.
Nobody wants this district to be overrun with people and flooded out and can't get around nowhere. You can't get through Denham Springs. You cannot, traffic is worse than the drainage. You can't get anywhere, any time of day. I don't care when it is. Obviously, a lot of people don't, I'm retired. Obviously, a lot of people don't work because all they do is run the roads all day. You can go in the middle of Denham Springs at 10 o'clock in the morning and it is gridlock.
Oh, Clint, I think you're...
So we had no
I think your desire is no.
sane representation when all this took place. So nobody in the district, everybody wants this map.
Thank you.
So I beg of you to please approve these maps.
Sure, please, come up, give us your name and where you live, and if you, I know, I hate to ask, but you probably got more invested than anybody, so I'm asking you still, if you could kind of keep it moving.
Sure.
I'd appreciate it.
Chris Ingram, I'm the developer of Deer Run and Valera subdivision. So I'm here tonight to see if we can just do what seems fair, what's already been approved. We're requesting R3 zone, and this is why. The ordinance says we have zero flexibility, okay? Preliminary means that. It's a preliminary plat you got approved. It's not final. It's preliminary. We have to go through a lot more stages. So what you're really doing is, we got 40-foot lots, we got 52-foot lots, okay? I asked for a meeting with Miss Erin, emailed her 4 times. We didn't get that meeting. She didn't want to have the meeting. We didn't have the meeting. So she said I could come here and speak tonight, so that's what I'm doing. So what you're really doing, when the ordinance says you have to go back, if you make any change, you got to start over and go back to the planning commission, what you're doing is forcing me to build smaller houses. So let me explain that. We got 40-foot lots. If the market conditions change, I cannot take 3 40-foot lots, which is 120 feet, divided by 2 and create a 60-foot lot and build a bigger house. By having no flexibility whatsoever. If you zone this like that map, I'm going to build this subdivision with 40-foot and 52-foot lots, and they're going to be all small houses. You're not giving me an option to build a bigger home. You're just not. So if that's the way you want it, that's the way you'll get it. You control the size of the lots. You control the ordinance, but I control what size house goes on it. I built houses all over. I've been in business 41 years next month. We $700,000 houses on a 50-foot lot in Point Marie subdivision, that's the LeBurg Casino. $700,000 on 50 feet. No one in this room has any idea, because I ain't told nobody, what size houses, what quality houses are going to be built on these lots. The reason lots are small is because infrastructure is expensive. Land's expensive, okay? So we go in with a preliminary plan, and we put smaller lots, and we design them to certain where we could increase them if the market conditions allow it. No one in this room, including me, can decide how many lots of each one we're going to sell in a preliminary stage. So the way you do a subdivision, I've done about 30 of them. I got the experience of doing this. It's not my first one. Been doing this 35 years and building houses for 41. Built many subdivisions in the Central Parish, the Diversion Canal, Seven Oaks, all kind of subdivisions, okay? So what we do is we make the lots a little bit smaller where we can have some flexibility to double the lot size, delete lots. So we got 450 lots roughly in a 40-foot lot in this development. You're taking away the opportunity, if the market conditions allow, for me to eliminate 1/3 of those lots and make them 60-foot, because the rule says I got to come back and start all over. The fact is, when I applied for this development with Joe Live, when he worked for Quality Engineering, we spoke to the lady on the phone, and we discussed what we wanted to put where. There was no zoning in place. We put on the map commercial property on the front, on the very front of the highway there. It's on the map, it's approved. That's where we want to do some higher density because it's on the main road, right? But I can't sit here today and tell you now because the word is preliminary. We got many more stages to go to get to where we need to be. So the normal is a big subdivision. We don't want every house to be the same size. We want to mix them up some, but we can't. We don't have the flexibility. So you're taking it away. The 52-foot lot. If I wanted to delete that every third lot, I'd have 156-foot divided by 2. You'd have a 78-foot lot with a bigger home. I got 3 entrances to this development. I can mix the market up with 3 different developments if the market allows it. But if you want to have all 800 square feet, see, you have the control over size of lot and zoning. I got control of what house goes on it. So, by me building the houses, if you leave the little lots, you're going to want it with all little houses. Do you want that all over your parish? Okay? So
3 minutes.
This is a new development, and it's flexible, and I can make it flexible. But if you don't give me the flexibility, then I can't do that. So therefore, you're creating the council's rules and regulations should not be any change. You need to change that ordinance that says something to the nature of you can have up to a 5% flexibility or some kind of flexibility. If you don't, your zoning and your rules will allow all little houses. Okay?
Mr. Chris,
I'm done.
Chair, you know what?
I'm done.
Hold on, 1 second. We're still in the public hearing right now.
You going to come back up?
What's that?
You going to allow him to come back up? Because I had a simple question for him.
Okay, well,
Answer
yeah,
any
go
question
ahead.
you have. I've
Hey,
been trying
sir.
to have meetings with everybody here. I just can't
No,
get
sir, not me. I met with.
Well, she mentioned she was going to bring
Excuse
more
me.
councilmen
Point of
in.
order, please. Point of order. Okay, I just got a simple question. I'm not here to argue with you.
Okay.
Every council member sitting here chairs, from Mr. Talbot around to Shane Ord.
Shane Mack.
Shane Mack.
Get that right.
These guys sat down and wrote these ordinances, along with all the engineers throughout our parish.
That's good.
They sat there and wrote
I think you
these
did a good job.
Sir, would you let me finish, please?
Yes,
I'm not
sir.
trying to cut you off. I didn't bother you while you was talking. Just hear me out, please.
All right.
These guys put in many an hour and day while we all sat out there listening.
Okay.
We all approved this change in our ordinances, correct?
Correct.
We approved that.
Correct.
Guys, Gary didn't make it up. You didn't make it up. We as a councilman made a decision there will be no changes on preliminaries. If you do, you would have to come back before the board or before the preliminary plat again. Everybody knew this going in. I'm asking today, why did we go ahead and submit something that we know we're going to have changes? I know we're going to have changes. Everybody in here does. Is it something we can go back and look at later on our ordinances? For our contractors, 5%, 10%? We have to look at both sides here. But my point is, we rushed into this knowing our ordinances, what we have to do to make sure our parish grows responsible. Okay, that's all I ask you guys. Just think about that. And Mr. Chris, man, we need people to come to our parish. There's no doubt about it. But we need to do it responsible.
I'm trying to have the flexibility to increase.
But you just said, no matter what I want to clear my head what you just said. You councilmen can decide whatever you want, but I'm going to do what I want on them lots.
The size of houses, I'm going to decide the size of the house that go on it. So if all the lots are 40 foot, I got to put a little house, right?
Yes, sir.
So I need the flexibility to make a bigger lot, take 3 lots, 120 feet, divide it in half, make 60-foot lots, without starting all this process over. It took me a year to get this thing approved. So That's why you need a little flexibility in your ordinance, is all I'm saying. Just a little bit.
We realizing that.
Because I've developed about 30 subdivisions. I've never developed one off a preliminary plat that didn't have a change.
Mr.
Did
Deland
we knew
has-
this going in, correct?
Well,
Did we know this going in?
We know what going in.
The preliminary plat would have
Oh,
to
yes,
go
sir.
back?
I will build all those houses small, no problem. I'm trying to have some flexibility to build
Understand.
bigger houses. That's all.
I just had to ask that
No
question.
more to it than that.
You knew what you was going into when you came to our
Absolutely.
parish.
I
Thank
can
you.
build that subdivision just like you want it, no problem.
Mr. Deland has a question for you, Mr. Chris, if you don't mind.
Mr. Chris, whether you believe it or not, I have great respect for you. You and your brother both and your family, I really do.
Thank
And
you.
I know you're a working man and you started, you're a self-made man. I'm not here to keep you from making a living. I'm here to protect the people in our parish. And I think we still can do that by working together. That's all I'm saying. I want to ask a question,
Okay.
because I'm confused.
Okay.
If we adopt this map, how does it affect you? You saying
I'm
it
gonna
takes
tell
your flexibility away.
I'll tell
That's
you
what I didn't know.
No
What
problem.
flexibility does that take away?
Because your ordinance says, if I want to make a change, I got to go back to planning commission, start all over, and go through all this process again.
Is
I
that what it
spent
says?
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Is that what it says, Gary?
That's what it says.
Different than
That's
what
what it
it's
says.
approved for.
Let me
John,
speak, I'll tell you.
I just want to say something.
It hurts. She said, what hurt? Why does it hurt? Because I didn't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it this way, and I'm okay doing it this way. I'm telling you now, I am. But what the position I'm in right now is I need to close on this thing in 60 days or so, and zoning is coming into effect, and it's affected me purchasing the property. I'm still going to purchase it one way or another. It just hurts me to come up with more money because it's not zoned. All this zoning stuff that y'all talking about, all these banks know all this. So it's putting a financial stress and burden on me after I spent a lot of money
Yeah.
to purchase this and develop it. I can develop it the way it is.
I
It's gonna get
understand what you're
developed
saying.
one way or another.
I got one more question, okay? Everybody's telling me to hurry up. The question I'm asking is, I don't understand how the map affects that, because the ordinance
I just
says...
said, once it's zoned, that map for this property don't hurt me on this
Okay, for
development.
that property, it don't. Okay, that's what I was
For
clear.
this property, it does not.
Okay, real quick, Mr. Mack had a question. Did you say you had a question for it?
Yeah.
You cleared it up. I didn't...
R3 zone is what we need to have
Go ahead, Shane.
flexibility to make larger lots. That's all we're looking for here. And on the commercial,
Hold, Mr. Mack's got a question for you.
okay?
Is it Mr. Chris, is that your name?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I heard you say that you've been talking about this development or working on this development for about a year. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We've been talking about zoning Livingston Parish for over a year and a half. If I was going to spend the money that you were planning on spending to develop that subdivision down there, you know, I would have paid attention to the zoning and the discussions that we've been having about zoning, okay? So we were talking about zoning way before you started the plans to develop that subdivision down there.
Gotcha.
And when we adopted the zoning map, okay, or not the map, but when we adopted the zoning ordinance, okay, it was communicated in that meeting that our plan was to adopt that ordinance, okay, and that later we were going to adopt zoning maps. And once we got the zoning maps adopted, then zoning could be enforced in Livingston Parish.
Yes, sir.
Okay? I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Yes, sir. But if I may...
Hold on, that's it, so there's no question then?
Well, I did ask.
Okay.
Been working on it for a year, and I made the statement that we've been working on zoning Livingston Parish for about a year and a half.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I don't want it to be a secret. I don't want you to act like I don't.
No,
I feel like you're trying to say that you knew nothing about zoning in
saying that at
Livingston
all.
Parish, but
I'm not saying that at all.
we have been talking
What I
about
am
it.
saying is there's no flexibility in your ordinance for me to increase the size of these lots if I wanted to.
Mr. Talbot has a
That's what
question.
I'm saying.
Mr. Gary, can you do me a favor and kind of get to the
Yeah,
question?
I'm gonna get quick. Okay, so as that map sits right now, the proposed parish zoning is agriculture and R2, as it sits right now. R2 does not allow for 40-foot, 54-foot
That's
lots.
correct.
Okay, so what that subdivision needs is R3 on what's been approved on the preliminary plat, and the multi-use up front that was on the preliminary plat needs to be zone multi-use. I mean, that's the way, that's what
it was
needs to
approved.
happen. So here, and I'm gonna ask Mr. Brad to comment. I'm gonna make a comment, Mr.
But I
Brad.
thought you had a question.
I do have a question. My question was, this is what it's zoned, this is what he needs. Okay, so Mr. Ingram needs to close on this property. He gotta go to the bank, gotta borrow money.
The banks are looking at the current zoning as it's going to come forth, and the zoning is going to be non-conforming.
Yes.
Okay, so they're not wanting to loan money on non-conforming property for future development. And we've not seen it here. We're going to see it later on tonight when we talk about 8 other pieces of property that we're trying to move the zoning on, because there are issues with the fact that these developers are moving along at a rate, and they need to now borrow money, and they're being restricted because we're not zoning the property properly. So getting past, that situation, when we did the preliminary plat, we gave him approval to move forward with spending money, right? We said, do a drainage impact study, do a traffic study, start your preliminary plat. Start your design of your subdivision. Palermo says, once you start spending money, you can't go back, right? Okay, so so basically what we've done, and then we've had opinions from you and Mr. Moody that said, property that has been approved preliminarily or otherwise, that takes precedence over the zoning. So we already know that this property has been preliminarily approved as R3. It should be zoned R3, because what we're doing now is creating a financial burden on Mr. Ingram. So,
I'm sorry. Could you, I need you to repeat what you said.
It's hard enough to try to keep these people from talking so much.
I just wanted him to repeat what he said about about the ruling.
Okay, so Palermo basically says that if, and look, I'm not a crackerback's lawyer. I'm just trying to regurgitate what I've been told by another attorney. And Mr. Brad, Palermo, as I understand it, once a developer starts spending money, then the council is locked in and can't back up on that approval. Am I correct?
So on the Palermo case, it involved an individual, I believe it was a landfill of some type, and he wanted to expand it. So he purchased the property next to his property to expand into. After he purchased that property, that piece of property got rezoned to where he couldn't do what he intended to do. And there was a massive lawsuit over it. It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that this particular landowner in this instance was subject to the police power of the government at that point in time. If you bought a piece of property and then they changed the zoning on you, then so be it. That's just your problem. When they talked about was vested property rights, and they said once you are granted a permit and you incur expenses and you perform construction and you begin work, then you have vested property rights.
Okay, so do you have to start?
So that's the question, right? And I got a lot of phone calls today about this, and I'm going to tell you it's going to require some more digging, because in that case they were talking about granting a permit and beginning work. In this case, we're talking about a preliminary plat.
Correct.
So it's not really a permit, but when somebody gets a preliminary plat, it's like giving them the green light to go do your studies and spend money.
Okay,
So it's kind of an in-between area between Palermo and Clear Cut.
Gary,
wait a second, I'm trying to speak. So
No, you're dragging this on.
No, I'm not trying to drag it. So my question is, this council earlier, did we pass a resolution? Did we amend the ordinance? We did something with respect to zoning and approved developments, did we not? This
ain't the time to research that.
No, the
Okay,
answer to that's
listen, is
no.
there any more questions from Mr. Chris?
Does not.
I hope none being, is there?
I say one.
Can you do it in 1 minute?
Yes, sir. The bottom line is, if you want to develop the way it is in all small houses, 1,000 square foot houses, we leave it like it is. If you want to increase the size and maybe possibility of, if the market allows, to reduce lots and build bigger houses, you need to make a variance for your ordinance to have, you don't have to go back to planning commission.
Chris, I can't tell you that
Do
won't
what you
happen in
wanna
the
do. It'd
future.
be
It
up
just
to
may
you.
happen. So we've had a public hearing. The public hearing is now closed. Look, let's call for the vote. Do you have something you need to say that ain't been said? Oh, well, I appreciate that, Ms. Ferries, but we got the public hearing is now closed. It's been read by title. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Sandifer.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Shane Mack.
Good one.
Gary, there's already been plenty of discussions.
Let's go.
Let's call for the vote. Ms. Sandy?
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Mr. King?
No.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
No.
Mr. Wascom?
Yes.
Mr. Talbot?
No.
Ms. Sandifer?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Hard.
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Passes.
All right, that motion carries. The next item is, hold on. Next item is was listed as an introduction of ordinance, but it's not. Mr. Mack has been working really hard let me just recap real quick. The parish has just started zoning people's property all across this parish, and there's going to be lots of non-conforming properties all across the parish. You own property, you might have cows on it, but now all of a sudden it's going to be zoned as commercial or residential or whatever. So Mr. Mack has put together a non-conforming ordinance that would just allow you protection to keep your property the way you want it until later on down the road, till your property becomes compatible with the zoning for that area. Am I right?
100% correct.
Perfect.
Yeah. And one more thing real quick. We're not complete with this. We're not going to introduce this. The reason why is because it was communicated in the ordinance meeting. I talked to Eddie Idell last night. Modifications need to be made. We're going to bring this ordinance, this is a very important ordinance to pay attention to, back to the ordinance committee meeting next Tuesday and kind of discuss more language in it to meet everybody's intent.
So, yeah, so it's not an introduction because there's still some more tweaking, but to let you know that he wanted to talk about that. Next item, 18, is an introduction of an ordinance. This is for the prohibition and the sale of kratom in the unincorporated areas of Livingston Parish. Mr. Mack asked to put this on the agenda. Do you want to read it by title, Shane, or do you want to? I guess we'll go ahead and
read it by title.
Go ahead and read by title, Ms. Sandy.
This will be proposed ordinance 2306. It's an ordinance creating the prohibition of the sale of, I cannot pronounce that, Mitro, Soza, Korth, which is kratom, in the unincorporated areas of the parish of Livingston by adding section 50-17, prohibition of the sale of what we just said, kratom, and chapter 50, offenses miscellaneous of the Code of Ordinances. The public hearing will be February 23rd at 6 p.m.
This is a motion, this is an ordinance to ban kratom in Livingston Parish. Mr. Mack.
Yeah, like John said, I requested this be put on the agenda. This is an ordinance introduction to ban kratom sale in Livingston Parish. You asked me why, I'll tell you why I did it. The Louisiana Department of Health recommends that kratom be banned. The DEA drug fact sheet says that this can lead to psychotic symptoms, psychological and physiological dependence. The DEA drug fact sheet says that kratom consumption can lead to addiction. This is a very addictive substance, drug. In addition to that, I've talked to some individuals within the law enforcement agency for Livingston Parish, sworn to protect and to serve. They feel like kratom is a upcoming major problem. To the best of my knowledge, that's how I interpreted what they told me. When it comes to the enhancement of, and I guess you could say increasing the quantity of drug sales in Livingston Parish. What's happening here is that people that, sell and distribute illegal drugs are using this, to enhance those illegal drugs. So everybody said, okay, well, let's have an ordinance meeting and let's discuss it. We had one. I listened to, individuals that was in favor of the ban. I listened to individuals that was not in favor of the ban. I think everybody in the ordinance meeting that night agreed that adulterated kratom is a very serious problem. It's very dangerous to society. It's unfortunate that we lost a young child recently in Livingston Parish, where kratom was purchased in Livingston Parish, to my understanding, and the young infant, was able to get their hands on this substance and consumed it. And although it appears that it was adulterated kratom, it was sold as kratom. The article that I read about it basically, the lady that had purchased it was using this to kind of overcome other addictions. And I want to say that I've been heavily supporting this band. Somebody that I highly respect asked me to look into the benefits of kratom before I introduced this, and so I decided to take time out to do that. The article I read was it was the National Institute for Drug Abuse, being that this material is used to kind of, people take it, to try to get off of other drugs. Okay, even the National Institute for Drug Abuse, the article says that they support research towards better understanding the health and safety effects of kratom, which they're not 100% sure of what the effects of kratom does to people. It says that in rare but serious effects have been reported in people who use kratom, including psychiatric, cardiovascular, gastrointestinal, and respiratory problems. I think that everybody's genetic makeup is a little bit different, so some people are able to handle kratom more so than others.
Is that a motion to adopt the
can you just
introduction?
John, this is a very, very important one. Okay.
I know.
I want to also say that I'd like to also say that kratom does kill people. In most cases where people have died from the use of kratom, it's because it was adulterated with other drugs. So when you're purchasing this material or this substance in Livingston Parish, there's no regulation to know whether or not this particular substance is adulterated. Okay. So I'm in favor of the ban. I would like to make a motion that we introduce this ordinance. This would be an introduction. Okay, this is not an adoption. Tonight, if a favorable vote does not ban it, this is just an introduction so that it can allow to be put on the next council agenda to adopt. Okay, and
so that's a motion by Shane Mack.
That's a motion for me
for introduction. Is there a second?
Yeah.
There is no second, so that motion dies for lack of a second. Next item on the agenda.
John.
Did you want a second?
No, I don't want a second, but I want to talk about the legislature is addressing this issue in the current session. There have been some bills filed. And I think that the comment Shane made was a lot of this stuff was adulterated kratom. So
it'll fix itself in the state level.
So I think that we need to let the legislature do what they do. The Kratom Protection Act would solve the deal with the adulterated deal. The alcohol tobacco control already has areas in place where they're monitoring CBD.
Mr. Calvin, I really appreciate it. There was no second, no need for discussion, but your point is well taken.
All right.
Item 19. Clarification of the dates that the new council district lines will go into effect from reapportionment for the October 14th, 2023 gubernatorial primary election and November 18th. Mr. McMorris asked this to be on the agenda. I tried to call you a couple times about it.
That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and just tell you what it's about.
It's just an information thing, right?
Everybody in this room probably couldn't tell you what the new district lines mean to them. When does it go into effect? When do you vote? Who do you vote for? So tonight, we're going to clear up some questions that the people of Livingston Parish has when the district lines are going to change, when you're going to get voted in, and when the new council is going to take the seat for the council, for that district, okay? So either Mr. Moody, Brad, or Sandy, we got a lot of answers right here. I can read them off, or one of you can read them off.
Oh, if you got your answers, say it.
It gives you every date that you need. Miss Sandy, you want to read that for us, please? No, I just want them to know the dates. So district, whenever we go before to change qualifying to run for that district, when you qualify for it, that don't mean that you're changing district lines at that point in time. Okay? Understand that. I'm not going to be taking over for Randy when qualifying time comes. Why not? Because I'm going to be taking over for you come January. Okay? So that's why people's getting confused by that. We need to answer that question for the people because time is short. All right? So Ms. Sandy, continue, please.
Qualifying dates for the council office are going to be Tuesday, August the 8th, Wednesday, August the 9th, and Thursday, August the 10th. The new districts will be used. Now, when the fall elections come, the new districts will be used when you go and vote. The gubernatorial primary election will be Saturday, October 14th, and the general election, if a runoff is needed, is Saturday, November 18th. You will be voting on the new districts, but they're still sitting in the old district. On Inauguration Day, for the newly elected council members, the old council members who are currently serving now with those district lines, they will keep in office and serve that term and be observed until noon on Monday, January the 8th. The new council district lines will be observed at noon on January 8th. So the old council goes up to noon, the new council takes over at noon.
Is that good, Mr. McMorris?
Good job. You good? Yes. So if you have any questions or comments on that, I know the people of the public on Facebook world, they confused. I was confused. Now we all know. If you need to know, please get up with the council, your district councilman, or you can get a hold to the ladies here at the office. They can send this information to you. Answers should be clear after tonight.
Thank you, Mr.
Great,
McMorris.
thanks.
That's fantastic. Item 20, authorization to grant a waiver for a property currently owned by Kelvin Averitt, parcel 0460287, which has an existing servitude which established homes in said property to be subdivision Austin C. Sibley, allowing a waiver of a section, site, and structure provisions, waiving the minimum width of 60 foot. This is in Mr. McMorris's district, I believe. It says Gerald McMorris.
Yes, that is mine also.
And this will be...
Actually, this is Mr. Andy Delatz.
Take care.
If you don't mind me taking this one. So,
is that a motion to approve the waiver? Got a motion, second by Mr. Delat. Any discussion?
I'm sorry. So you're going from 60 to 30, but
no. So it's already a 30 there. The existing is 30. He cannot do 60 because the houses is already built on pieces of property. He can't get to his property because the other landowners.
Motion by Mr. McMorris, second by Mr. Ladd. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 21.
Andy, Gary and Shane are not here for that vote.
Thank you.
Yep. Item 21, authorization of a property exchange between tract Q32A and lot 12A into tract Q32A1, tract 12A1. This is basically another waiver in Mr. Jeff Art's
Be the
district.
same thing, kind of like.
I second Mr. Art's motion.
So I'll make the motion.
A motion by Mr. Art, second by Mr. Latt. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All carried, but the two that are absent. Sandy? Board reappointment, Ward 2 Water, Mr. Girlinghouse.
yes, I had one of my Ward 2 Water District member pass away a few months back.
Ms. Sherrill, yes.
Appoint Steve McDaniel to the board.
Motion to appoint Mr. Steve McDaniel, seconded by Mr. Randy Delat. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's your boy.
Item B, recreation, Mr. Keene. Scoop.
Oh, yeah, I got two.
Recreation 2.
Yeah, Recreation 2, that's Miss Bobby Jo Cox.
Motion to appoint Ms.
Motion
Bonner?
to appoint her. Can I do them both together? And then on my Gravity 5 board, Mr. Mike McNaughton. I talked to both of them. They want to remain. I make that motion.
Motion by Mr. King to appoint both of those, Gravity 5, and Recreation 2. Second by Mr. McMorris. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Mr. Suggs? Never mind. Let's see, item 23, waiver request for commercial property located, okay, this is something I'm asking y'all for. Waiver request for commercial property located on Lockhart Road in Council District 4. Real quick, I'll tell you, we're across from, on 16, just north of Magnolia Beach Road, you got the car wash on the right on your side, Tropical, and then on the left, you got the Lanyards Restaurant on the west side. Okay. He owns a piece of property that goes in between Lanyap's Restaurant and the little shop, right there, and it goes back to like 5 acres back there. And what he wants to do is he's trying to, his family land that he inherited it. He got commercial, wants to buy the front. He's got residential, but they can't sell it together. So he wants to cut it in half. And he's already talked to Joe Krasowski. They're giving him a choice. Motion by.
Second. I think it's a good idea.
Motion by Mr. McMorris, second by Mr. Girlinghouse. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank y'all. Up to 24, okay. This is, there's some properties that whenever we zoned the parish, we're coming back to rezone them according to what they are now. So adopt a resolution for the zoning of reclassifications as follows. So what this is a resolution to change from agriculture, residential, commercial, industrial to R2 residential single family. And these parcels, do I need to read these, Sandy, or can we just use them as listed on item 24?
The list.
To the attorney.
Let's just say the list.
Okay. The list, okay, 24. Huh? Yeah, it's published. It was published on the agenda. Thank you. So
They're all in the same area, right?
Yeah, this is all
in the
and this
same
is
area?
in
Yeah.
District 8.
This be Randy's district. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Randy.
Second it.
Second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank y'all. Item B, same basic thing. Owner parcel AG 3 acre tract from farmland located in District 8, for Sheila Hughes and VK Smith.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Delat.
Second.
Second by Mr. Girlinghouse. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, item C is a resolution to change from R1 residential rural single family to R1.5 residential rural single family. This is Mr. Girlinghouse's district.
Yes, make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, seconded by Mr. Delat. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None being, motion carries. Item B, this again is a request to resolution to change from SNB, Small Neighborhood Business, Small Business, to R2 Residential Single Family District in Council District 1, Mr. Ard.
Yeah, this is for
Okay, make the motion.
63 of 442, and I'll make that motion.
I second.
Seconded by Mr. Girlinghouse, made by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Motion carries. Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse, basically in his district, this is a motion to approve the revised District 6 and District 7 zoning maps completed by Alvin Fairbury. Tracy, yeah, this is not a zoning.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, about this?
Yes.
Oh, hold on, let's see. You want to, go ahead.
I might be confused, but it says requested action to approve the revised District 6 and District 7 zoning maps. District 6 is not zoned. So what do you mean?
On the wording on this.
What do we have now? Come back?
To be honest, I don't know what this is.
We got something going on
Put it on
here.
the agenda or no?
I did not like this, I don't know.
Let's pull it.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda. Item F, request action for rezoning of Livingston Parish Assessor Parcel 0536854. This is a resolution for Foxglove subdivision to plat R3, which allows a minimum 40-foot lot. Mr. Girlinghouse.
Yeah, I zoned the the district. This are here just as in quarters to what they were going to build to start off
want a
with. I'm
motion.
not trying to go, so make a motion for that.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, second by Mr. Delat. All in favor, aye? Aye. The next one is a resolution to approve a request for zoning of Livingston Parish Parcel 0300340 located in Indigo Trail subdivision, Mr. Girlinghouse's district.
Same.
Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Delat. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. G2 would be Isabella Lakes. Since we're doing this, Tracy has one that didn't make it to the agenda, but it's the same exact thing for Isabella Lakes. Motion by Mr.
Second.
Girlinghouse, seconded by Mr. King on this one. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, this next one is a request by Mr. Talbert to rezone Valera subdivision. I think this is in Mr. Delat's district. Gary, you want to talk about this, or do you want to just pull it?
No, I'm not going to pull it. So there was an email sent to the council with a list of, and we've gone through a lot of the things on the list, and there were 2 items that that the councilman whose district they were in chose not to put them on the list. So it's the same situation, that these items are not zoned properly compared to what's already been approved. So I put the request on there, since the councilman whose district they are chose not to. So this is Valera subdivision. It was originally zoned, and it needs to be zoned, I think it was originally zoned nothing, and it needs to be zoned R3, so I'm making the motion to zone it R3.
All right, we have a motion to rezone R3. Mr. Delat, is there a second first? Second by Scooter King. Mr. Delat, do you have something to say? You want to get the audiences to talk?
I don't care. I'm not part of the clown
Miss
show.
Sarah, come on up, man. I ain't heard from Miss Sarah Ferries too much.
Part of the clown show.
Happy New Year.
No, I didn't want to.
Sarah Ferris, 19241 Plantation Trace, Livingston. Mr. Talbert, why do you care? Why do you not trust our councilman to represent our district? Secondly, just to read the definition of R3, that was a rhetorical, so I don't really need an answer. All lots in R3 will consist of standalone, detached, garden-style homes. Does everybody know what a garden-style home is? On a reduced lot that orients outdoor activity to the rear patio. The garden home cannot be in a 0 lot line configuration. All lots will have a maximum of no more than 7 lots per acre. So anytime we're asking for R3, it's not for the flexibility of bigger lots, it's for the flexibility of 7 per acre.
Mr. Derek Murphy, I believe I'm saying that correct, right?
We can't change it. If it does, it's got to go back to planning. So,
This council just rezoned 18 properties because the landowners asked for it by resolution. This is the same thing. This matches what got approved. It's the landowner asking for rezoning to match something. I represent the owner, and so just to...
Come on.
I'm here tonight asking for this rezoning, just like these other 18 people, 18 property owners got their wish by what they want their property to be. We're here asking tonight for this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Any more discussion? We had a motion and a second.
Valera is approved, and it doesn't meet the current zoning that exists. The landowner asked that the zoning be R3, which is what it needs for the lot size and the deal.
Ms. Did you have something to? Oh, okay. Well, Randy, let's let Randy go ahead.
I wasn't going to say anything because I didn't want to contribute to the clown show. It's kind of like me going and saying, I got 2 complaints about frogs and I want to rezone that into residential now. I'm not going to stoop to that level, but I will correct the misinformation. He said it's already been approved. That's a court date. That hasn't been approved. Nothing has happened over there. But whatever we do here, still nothing's going to happen. That's in court. I have zoned that property correctly. I have stood up and listened to everyone's comments, and that property is probably going to be the most talked about property in Livingston Parish in the next year, because we all know it's a test case, you know. We all know that they can't get water. We all know that there's no places for students. We all know these things. We know that DOTD says they can't even come out on the exit that they're trying to plan to come out. So why are we going to try to find ways for someone to maximize a profit when people over here is begging the leaders to stand up and do what they want them to do?
Okay. You sure? Mr. Chris?
Let him come, let him come, let him come.
What's
Let him
that?
come.
Oh, by all means. I didn't know you was on that property.
Okay, so.
Come on,
There's some
let him talk.
misinformation, Mr. Delat, like you said, I respect you, but let's get the story straight.
We're on a different side, I know.
We have water coming to that site, brand new
And
drill.
I want to ask you, where is the water coming from?
It's going to be drilled on site. It's gonna have a
Haven't you been
treatment
trying to
facility.
drill water?
Sir, it's preliminary. Let me speak.
You have been trying to drill water, and the driller has told you that he hasn't got good water.
You don't know what the driller
and he
told
has
me, 'cause
told
you ain't been in that
and he
meeting.
has told you that you was going through shadow aquifers that was going to
Required treatment. And
not
they're gonna
only
put
require
'cause
treatment, but drain other wells into place.
Sir, you don't know because you wasn't in the meeting. I'm sorry. I apologize, but you don't know that. What you're saying is not true.
I heard a lot
They're going to come on that site.
not true
There's
stuff
going to
here.
be I didn't interrupt you. There's going to be wells drilled on this site. There's going to be a treatment facility drilled on this site. It's going to improve the water in your area and give you better water than what you have today. Okay? That's coming from a company out of Texas that bought French Settlement water out from Todd Danielson. Okay? The contract's being written now. And you're right. If you want to, it's going to be in court, and the same result's going to happen as what happened in Deer Run. So if y'all want little bitty houses, that's what you're going to get. I'm trying to increase the dang lot sizes, and ain't nobody getting that. So be it. We'll build on the little lots if that's what you want. Like this man here said, Mr. Shane Mack, he said, didn't you know this? Yes, we did, but it's preliminary. So we do a preliminary plat. If these lots are a certain size where we can double and delete lots and make them bigger if we need to fit the right sizes. So 340s is 120 feet. You divide it by 2, I get a 60-foot lot. The 52-foot lots, I can put 3 of those. That's 156 feet. You divide it in half, I can make 78-foot lots. If you give me some flexibility, I can make better product, better houses. If not, you will get what these tract builders are building today. Okay, so you either want a high quality house or low quality. You want a big one or a little one. I'm not making that decision. The council is, and people, they want little houses, we'll build little houses. That's what you want.
Sir, let me ask some questions. You already been telling us the same thing. Okay,
if you like.
Regardless of what happens, whatever happens in the lawsuit, whether you win or the people win, I don't care, okay? Whatever happens, happens, okay?
All right.
I'm not a party to that suit.
Okay.
But you do know, regardless, you still have to you have to go by ordinance.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that ordinance, and I'm going to read it right here, says if you're not under construction, you don't know what size your house is going to be or your lot sizes. You have to go by the new ordinance. You cannot have 7 houses on that lot.
I don't want 7 houses. I don't even want to change that map, sir.
Well, okay.
I want to leave
So
it just
what
like
does it
is.
matter? How does it matter how it's zoned? Because you're going to have to go by the new ordinance. You're not going to have to go.
The only way it matters is we have another 100 acres in back that hasn't been finished. It's only 2/3 approved. That's why it matters. Other than that, it don't matter. I don't need to change any of the lots. You want me to sign something saying I'm going to change the lot size with 52 foot? I'll be glad to do that for you.
Let me ask you another question about the well.
You want me to sign for this lady right here saying we're not going to build 7 lots per acre? I'd be glad to sign it for you. I'm trying to help and increase. I'm not trying to go backwards.
Would you build for 2 lots an acre?
No, sir, it doesn't financially do that. We have a map. If you ask Mr. Derek Murphy, did we do a map, Mr. Derek Murphy?
I'm talking to you, sir. I'm talking to you, sir. Face me, sir. Sir, face me. Let's me and you talk.
Okay. It don't work financially.
Okay. So if it doesn't work financially, 2.5 works, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if 2.5 works, why don't you just say that instead of rezoning where you can have 7 houses?
If you want me to say something, sign something at 2.5 lots per acre, do it today. No problem.
Well, that's what you was originally, on your preliminary, that's what you originally said. Now you come up here to be rezoned for 7 houses.
No, I'm not.
Well, that's what he just said.
I didn't say that.
Hey, Randy.
Wait, one
No,
more
sir.
thing, and I'm
Okay,
gonna quit.
I'm
Wait,
gonna
one more
answer that
thing.
question.
Wait, let me finish now. Let
I
me
didn't say
finish.
that.
There's one more issue I got, and that's the well. You brought it up, and you said a company from Texas has bought Front Summit Water.
Yes, sir.
And they're gonna do some improvements.
Yes, sir.
And they're gonna do those improvements all over the parish or just there?
They're going to do it there to help your area that needs water. 'cause you
Okay, so
ain't
when
got
they
no
do
water.
those improvements there, are you paying for that? Who's paying for those improvements for Front Summit Water?
We're sharing it.
No, you know who's paying for it? Me, because I'm a customer of Front Summit Water. Every one of those
Oh,
people.
okay, so-
We all paying for those
Okay.
improvements. That's what we're talking about when we say have the infrastructure here before you build things. What happens is people
can't
move.
build it without water.
Listen to me. What happens, people move here and we, the people already here, have to pay for people moving in. Because my water bill's gonna go up because they got improvements now for people that has to move here, okay? That's what we're talking about when we say infrastructure. What we also talking about is we don't work together as a council. We don't work to solve your problems or to solve their problems. We choose sides right here. That's what we do. 'Cause
Politics, you're right.
Politics.
It's a shame.
That's the worst darn thing that's happened
It's
to
terrible.
Livingston Parish. That's exactly right.
I don't make the rules, I follow them. I didn't
If they had some
make the
decorum,
rules.
if they
You
had some
made the rules, I
decorum,
followed them. I
if they
didn't
had-
ask for a variance, I just followed the
We're
rules.
just going on.
If they had some decorum where we could just sit together as people and business person, I guarantee you can work it out.
Schedule a meeting, I'll meet every one of you anytime you
So
want.
why
as long
don't we
as you want.
table this? Guys, table this. He just said.
No,
You said.
no, I don't want to table it.
Okay,
Let's vote
good.
on it.
That's all right.
Yeah, why not?
We
Why
got
you
a
don't want to
motion.
talk about it, you want to
We got a
vote. See, it's
motion by Mr.
politics
Talbert. There
again.
was a second by Mr. King.
Question. Yeah, so if we change this zoning and he says, well, I'm gonna build 7 lots, he gotta go back to planning and it's gonna go back to something else. He can't change.
I will sign whatever you
So he
want.
can't
I will
build
not
7
build more
lots
than
no
2.5
matter what.
houses.
If he changes
Randy?
If he changes, he can. That's what Gary just said.
Randy?
The current zoning, the lot sizes that are already approved preliminarily for Valere don't meet the current zoning requirement, the zoning classification that it is. The only classification that it falls under, based on lot size, is R3. The only reason the
Because
request
I
is
wanna make a quick
R3 is because
statement.
that's what the lot size is.
I'm going to call for the vote.
Randy,
just one quick
if you want me to
statement.
sign something, say I won't build a house over
Hold on one
2.5,
second.
you draw the
Hold on.
document up, I'll
Shane
sign
Mack.
it.
Shane Mack's got
Just
this
a
question.
quick statement,
That's
okay?
just total.
The preliminary site plan was approved, right? There is no requirement when the preliminary site plan is approved that it has to be zoned to meet the preliminary site plan. That development may never happen, okay? So it does not have to be zoned that way. It can be zoned exactly the way Randy Delat thinks it best impacts that area down there. I just want to say that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to, I see, your motion was to change the zoning
To R3.
to R3. You had a second by Mr. King.
Yeah.
All the questions.
Just for time of speeding this up, let's call for the vote. Miss Sandy?
Mr. Delat.
No.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
No.
Mr. Garlinghouse.
No.
Mr. Wascom.
No.
Mr. Talbert.
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer.
No.
Mr. McMorris.
No.
Mr. Ard.
Oh.
Okay, my motion. The next item on the agenda is, let's see, item I. It's basically the same thing. Mr. Talbert put another piece of property, I think, enlisted Mr. Randy's district. This was with Point of Isle subdivision.
Point of Isle.
Is this the same thing, Gary?
For Point of Isle to meet the preliminary plat, it needs to be zoned multi-use. So
Is that
that's-
you want to make a motion?
That's the motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbert,
Second.
second by
We're gonna call a
Mr.
vote.
King. Sandy, what's that?
Call the question.
Mr. Sandy, you want to call for the vote?
Mr. Delat.
No.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
You got to repeat. Can you repeat the motion?
It's the same thing that we did for Valere, but this is for Point of Isle subdivision.
He's trying to reclassify property in Randy Delat's district?
In Randy Delat's district.
No.
Pardon? Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I was going to say the same thing, John, because I don't know what's going on with this piece of property.
Okay.
I'm sorry. But
Well, come on up if you're welcome to speak. Well, you know what? We'll just recall for the vote because this property owner might have something that's just going to
Might make me vote.
might make Randy change his mind.
My name is Joe Moore. I own a building in the property. This property's been under development for 10 years. It's not a vacant piece of land. We have Anytime Fitness there, Kingsway. We have Chris's Pharmacy. We're under development right now on 5 other acres. It's next to Cerritos and the Diversion Canal. It's a planned community that I've been involved with for over 10 years. I'm also the guy that did all of Bass Pro, and I'm doing the second part of Jubin Crossing, which is called Jubin Marketplace. So you know the kind of work that I do. All we're asking for is a small change to the preliminary plat. We had a 16-lot subdivision in there. We want to do townhomes. We need that one small change that's being requested tonight to accomplish that. It's 33 acres. We've already developed 7 acres of it already.
So you got 25
left.
left to go? Okay. Mr. Delat, did you want to comment on this one, or?
The first time I ever heard of this was 2 minutes ago, so surely I can't vote and say yes. Now, if he wants to talk about it at a later time
You want to pull this item from the agenda and get with the council member in your district? You all might work something out here and get this.
Well, I did send an email, and I called and left 2 messages, but I wasn't able to talk to Mr. Delat.
Can I ask you when that was?
It was yesterday I called, and I...
Yes, so it's already on the agenda, huh?
Well, I saw it on the agenda, yeah.
Yes, sir. So you went and put it on the agenda, then you tried to tell me about it, and I didn't respond? Is that what we're saying? I'm missing what you're asking, what you're telling me. You said you contacted me, and I didn't respond, and you said that was yesterday?
Well, when I noticed it was on the agenda for this month...
You didn't put it on the agenda?
Well, I thought it was going to be in next month's agenda, but it was actually showed up on this month.
Okay. Well, next month I might be in favor.
Let's pull it.
Can we table this?
I'm okay with that. I mean, we've got a motion.
You want to pull this out?
The request came from the engineer, so I mean, look, I'll fulfill the deal. If the owner wants to defer it for...
I'll defer to, we're good, we're
I
going to be
think you
back.
stand a better chance of getting it done if you defer.
We also have, we're on the agenda next month anyway for something else, so.
So
I'm good with that.
contact the councilman in your district. Y'all might work things out and everybody.
So why are you changing the plan, just for my information?
Because of the way the usage is within the lots, there's 33 lots. 2 acres, which is 2 of the lots, were originally approved for single family, and we would just prefer to do townhomes, and that requires this different use zoning. That's the only reason we're doing it.
Call for vote, Gary.
No, you want to pull it?
I'm going to give...
Call for the vote.
Well, you sure, Randy? I mean, we table it.
Let him call for the vote.
He listened, it makes sense.
It made sense.
Yeah.
It made sense.
Okay. Well, what do you want to do, Randy? You want to rezone it, or?
No, let him call for the vote.
Yeah, that's what he wants to do.
You got a motion and a second.
I want to know what you want to do for your district, so I know
He's
how to
voting
vote.
first. We're going to know what to do.
Well, hold on, Mr. Hart.
I vote first.
It's your district. All right. We got a motion by Mr. Talbert, second by Mr. King. Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Mr. Delat,
Yes.
Mr. King.
Yes.
Mr. Mack.
This is, again,
Now he's supporting Gary's motion to
you're
rezone.
supporting to rezone this land? I'm confused.
Let me explain what happened. Let me
Okay.
explain if you're confused.
Okay.
First time I ever heard of it is when I looked at the agenda, okay?
Okay.
It had Gary's name on it, so I figured Gary was on top of it, as he always is. So I don't know what the issue was, okay? I don't know why he wants to be rezoned. He just now gave me the information. He said he reached out to me yesterday, and he probably did, okay? Either by email or phone, I don't remember what he said, okay? So when he described his situation to me, where he's at, that perfectly makes sense. What he's trying to do makes sense.
Okay.
We still have to come before the board on everything we do in there anyway.
Your vote?
I vote to say yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse.
Yes.
Mr. Wascom.
Yes.
Mr. Talbert.
Yes.
Ms. Sandifer.
Yes.
Motion
Mr.
carries.
Ard.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Mr. McMorris.
On the vote.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes. Yeah, I'm ready to move. Motion carries. You got your,
I'll see you next month.
you got your rezoning.
It helps.
Next item, J, is a resolution to rezone of Livingston Parish Assessor Parcel 0390005 located in Whispering Spring subdivision. This is Mr. Jeff Ard's district.
Yeah, I'm good with this. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ard, second by Mr. Ladd. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. This looks like the last one for the night for the resolution to rezone of Livingston Parish Assessor Parcel 0274571H, located on Jubin Trail subdivision. I believe this is in Mr. Girlinghouse's district.
And in 0253138. Yeah, motion.
Jubin Trail subdivision, correct. Motion by Mr. Girlinghouse, second by Mr. Ard. Any discussion? None being, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Committee reports. I think we're going to, Shaq?
Just real quick on the ordinance committee meeting, we're going to have a meeting this coming Tuesday. We're going to be discussing this non-conforming ordinance. In addition to that, this is a really good meeting that you'd want to come to. We're going to be talking about modification to the classification ordinance that lists the uses within those classifications. There's some modifications that need to be made, so just pay attention, stay tuned. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Shane.
Finance committee, did y'all meet Randy or?
No, we did not.
All right. District Attorney's report?
You know, I normally don't have too much to say. I just want to make one suggestion. If I'm hearing this correctly, when somebody submits a preliminary plat and they want to change anything at all, they got to come right back to the beginning. Just a suggestion, maybe talk about it at an ordinance meeting. Look, where I personally stand, I think there are very few areas that need 40-foot lots. That's just my personal opinion. But if a developer wants to change something that increases the size of the lots and decreases the density, maybe they shouldn't have to come back if they're decreasing the number of homes.
I think that's very smart.
All right.
We tried that, and we got it voted down. Never mind.
No other comments from the attorney? No. All right. Councilman comments? Anybody got anything great to say? None being? Oh, Scooter, dadgummit.
Saturday, Dell Springs, Mardi Gras Parade, 3 o'clock. We're having an after concert, free to everybody with food trucks. It's going to be Chase Tyler, Clay Cormier, Thomas Kane. Everybody come out. 3 o'clock, the parade's over. As soon as it rolls through downtown Denham, the concert's going to kick off right there in the City Hall parking lot. We're going to be, Crew of Denham Springs, be set up at Train Station Park. Y'all come out, have a good time. Hopefully it'll be nice, 50-something degrees. We'll dance and listen to some music.
Thank you, Scooter. Mr. McMorris?
I'd hate to do this to you. Springfield, Louisiana, we're going to have a kickball parade there Saturday, correct? Yep. So we invite all the public. If you can't go to Denham Springs, come down to Tickball River.
Right.
If you can't make it to Tickball or Denham, come on down to the diversion, because we're going to have a good Mardi Gras bash over there. All right? We invite you all to come.
It's going to be a good weekend.
Okay? Mr. Talbot, this goes to you. I want to thank you for what you did for our children tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
And look, but make no mistake, Miss Sandra brought it to our attention.
Hard work y'all put into that. Appreciate you guys. That's a big step for our community.
Yeah. Mr. Talbot, you said you had a nice comment about me, I think?
I doubt that.
We got item 25. I'd like to make a motion to go to executive session.
Oh, wait, did you have a councilman comment? Okay, go ahead, Shane.
I just want to say it's wonderful when we work together as a team. We can really be successful when we work together as a team.
It's called unity.
All right, motion, go to executive session. What we'll do is we're going to adjourn, pause the meeting, go into executive session.
Channel 17, proudly serving the Florida parishes.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Gary, by Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse, seconded by Mr. Scooter King to come out of the executive session back into the regular meeting. Tommy, you good? All right. We did meet as a council in executive session, and no action was taken. And motion by Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse to adjourn tonight's meeting, seconded by Mr. Scooter King. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.